everybody, how's it going? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson. And today I want to show you how to play the major scale and the how to make it into an arpeggio, and just how to utilize this for lots of different things in your playing, and how to use this scale to answer a lot of questions that you probably already have, and if you don't have them yet, you will. So be sure to click on the link down below so you can get the tabs for this and easily follow along, and let's get close up and take a look. Alright, so for this example today, we're going to be doing this in the key of G major. Now the thing that's nice about this is that once you learn this pattern, it doesn't matter what key you're in, it's always the same sequence, and I'll explain that here in a sec. So starting off, we're starting on the 3rd fret of the low E, because that's a G. So whatever key you're in is what the first note where this scale pattern will start from. So for this pattern, we're starting here. We have 2 whole steps, so I'm going 3, 5, and then 7. And I'm using my 1st, 2nd, and then 4th finger. Now some people find it more comfortable to go use their 1st finger, then their 3rd, and then their 4th finger like that. That is very uncomfortable for me, but either way you want to do it is fine, just whichever way suits you better. So 2 whole steps, and then we're going to move to the A string and do the same thing. 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. Now we're going to move to the 4th string, the D string, and we're going to start on the 4th fret, and now it's a half step and then a whole step. So 4, 5, 7, and I'm using my 1st, 2nd, and then 4th finger. Then we go to the G string and do the same thing, 4, 5, 7. Now when we go to the B string, your 2nd string, we have to move up a half step again. So now we're starting at the 5th fret, and it's a whole step and a half step. So 5, 7, 8, and then the same thing on the 1st string, your high E string, 5, 7, 8. And in this case, I'm using my 1st, 3rd, and then 4th finger. So. Okay, so a couple of things first with this is when you're ascending the scale, so ascending, we're starting at the bottom and working our way up, you don't want to go and then take your fingers off as you go up. Leave your trailing fingers down. It doesn't matter, it doesn't affect the sound, because whatever the highest fret you're playing is, every fret below that will be dead. So if I'm playing here, on the 7th fret, and I can play all these other notes here on that 6th string, and it does not make any difference. So the reason that you want to do that is so that way if you're doing a lick that, like maybe and then it has pull-offs, or you're just going back to the previous notes, your fingers will already be in that place, and it's just one less step to have to take later. So as you ascend the scale, always leaving those trailing fingers. Now when you descend, obviously you can't do that. But also another thing, notice is I'm not really lifting my fingers up really high. You don't want to lift them any higher from the fretboard than is absolutely necessary. Okay, so by learning the scale, what we've done is we've learned what notes are in the key. So here we're looking at the key of G major. So now by playing the scale, we can identify what the notes are in the key of G major. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then we're back to G again. So that tells us that the key of G major has 1 sharp, and it's F sharp. Now the shape, if you want to play, let's say you wanted to play an A major scale, so we would move up here to the 5th fret, which is A, and play that same shape. And now we've just played all the notes that are in A major. Or if we started at the 1st fret, we'd be an F. If we started at the 4th fret, we'd be a G sharp or A flat. So it's nice, is it's just that one shape. You can move it around. Now, another thing too that you really want to be working with is make sure that you're alternate picking. So like when I play this first note, that's a down stroke, then this one would be an up, and then down, and then when I go to the next string, even though I'm going to the next string, it's an up, because alternate picking is just down, up, down, up, down, up. So I really recommend that you make sure that you do that you work with alternate picking. Now, like I said earlier, that there was some questions that could be answered with this. So you'll hear myself and other instructors and stuff, or just maybe just talking to other guitar players, and they'll say, "Oh, that such and such note, that's the fourth of that key," or "We're going to take this chord and we're going to add the 9 to it," or things like that. So what they're referring to when they say these numbers is the notes from the scale. So an example is that a major chord is what is called a triad. So it's 3 notes. So the 3 notes that make up a major chord are the first, third, and fifth note of the major scale. So if we wanted to know what the notes were that made up a G major chord, we go to G and we play our major scale. 1, 2, 3. So we know that we got the notes G and B, 4, 5. D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what we're referring to. So the 3 notes G, B, and D is what makes up a G major chord. And then it would be the same thing just wherever you moved it around. And then if it was a minor chord, it's 1, flat 3, and 5. So 1, 2, 3, here's the third, which is B. We move it down a half step, makes it flat, 4, 5. So G, B, D, or excuse me, G, B flat, D is what are the notes that make up a G minor chord, because we've taken that third and we flattened it. Okay, so then the other thing I wanted to show you is that you can use this scale for soloing. If you're just playing up and down the scale, it's not very musical sounding. So if you're soloing with it, you're going to be doing more things like that. But a simple way to really get a really nice sound and a good have a nice melody is to play the arpeggio. So what an arpeggio is when you're playing the notes of the chord separately. So in the case of G major, the 3 notes that make that up are G, B, and D. But if we were doing a major 7th chord, G major 7, then we're also going to add that 7th tone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, F sharp. So we have G, B, D, and F sharp. So when we play the scale to get the arpeggio, is you just skip. So we play the first note, we skip the second one, play the third. We skip the 4th note, and we play the 5th. We skip the 6th note and we play the 7th. So now we've just played the 4 notes that make up the notes of that chord, of the G major 7. Now you can continue to go on through the scale that way. So we have skip a note, skip a note, skip a note. But since we're to the 7, we have to play the next note, which is always a half step away, which is 8. Because the 8 is the same as 1. 9 is the same as 2. 10 is the same as 3. It's just that it's 1 octave higher. Because there's only 7 notes that are in the scale, and it starts over again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Back to G again. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, so on and so forth. So, once we... Now we're here at 8, so we skip the next note, skip the next note, skip the next note, which is our, and now we're back to 7 again. So here we are, we're back to our G, our 1. We skip the next note in the scale, and go here. Alright, so there you have it. That's the major scale and the major arpeggio. Now you have the scale, you can do the arpeggio, and you can build a little bit of music theory off of that. Learning scales and playing scales isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but it is a necessary evil. It'll make you a better player. Knowledge is power. The more you understand about not just this is a chord, but what it is you're playing and why it's the way that it is, just the better musician you'll be. So that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you'd like to see covered in a future lesson. And have a great day.